Now, we usually only pay $1 or $2 for these in almost any condition. Even in the box, I can get them for just a couple dollars. And they easily can sell for 30 to 60 bucks all day long. Hey, it's Don. Today we're going to talk about some specific types of toys. We're talking about rubber ducks today. Rubber duckies, as the song would go. Now, these are a couple of designer ones, and these are by Celebriducks, both of these. Obviously, you should recognize the sports team here and Santa Claus here as well. Now, there are a ton of these that can sell for some decent money. You're not going to make it rich selling rubber ducks, but you can sure as heck turn $1 or $2 purchase into 30 to 60 bucks fairly easily. There's a few brand names to always look for, as well as some various versions of rubber ducks that can get you some really good money. We're going to show you some of the earliest ones, as well as delve into the various types, including the vintage ones that we always look for and that always make us some good profit. So rubber ducks have been around in one form or another for a very long time. I've seen examples going back to the 30s. Now, this obviously doesn't look the same, but the face itself is the same basic rubber that you see on the full-fledged rubber ducks of today. Looks like it's a stage that went from this sort of duck to a fully rubber duck that could be submerged. There were dog toys and baby toys back in the 40s and 50s that were basically this same exact thing. This one went for 100 and some odd bucks, so they're worth some decent money, even if they're not all rubber like the traditional one. Just another example here. Now, this whole head is all rubber, so it's just a rubber head on a plush body. And this is from the same time frame. It has the box and the whole works. Very generic. Ideal was one of the main companies that did a lot of these rubber dolls, and this is a perfect example of one of theirs. Now, this is one of the earliest rubber ducks of modern-day design. The ducks that you see that were designed to sit in the bathtub, basically infant toys. And this is a real good example showing the different look that this one has. It has shaded wings. It has a mark on it. The squeaker is there as well. Now, many of the earlier ones are marked, and they'll be marked with a date. Sun Rubber Company made a ton of rubber toys. Toy soldiers, figures, vehicles, military items. Across the board, Sun Rubber made a ton of stuff, so it's not odd to see this. That name itself is collected. There are people that just collect Sun Rubber Toy Company items. Doesn't necessarily even have to be a duck. Here's yet another one. Now, this one's probably from the 60s or 70s. That era is highly collected. There are people that just collect rubber ducks. They still make them in mass quantity every single year. This one went for 55 bucks. Now, here's a Shellcore brand. This is one of the brands that you'll want to look for. It is marked on the bottom Shellcore as well. It's not super old, but they still do sell from 25 to 40 bucks. Obviously, you want them to be in excellent condition, no rubs or anything else like that. Now, another vintage one is Schilling, and this is a larger size. This is 9 inches tall. Looks just like the typical ducks, it's just a little bigger. Most of these as well can go from 20 to 40 bucks. It's a name brand back when these first came out. They made them for quite a few years. You can still run into these. Now, this one's easier to find than most of the other ones because it just looks like a normal duck. There's nothing really special about it. Same thing goes for the last one we looked at as well. Now, just like the sports-related one I showed you in the beginning, there are a ton of them. Most football, baseball, basketball, hockey teams had some sort of rubber ducky mascot back in the early 2000s and onwards. Celebriducks is a brand that started producing these. They produce sets. They have ones for movies, tie-ins, advertising pieces across the board. You can find them for almost anything. Now, in that same time frame, they made some for advertising promotional items like these from Axe Body Spray and Deodorants right here. It's a 3-figure set. Now, the one with the sunglasses on its own can sell for some good money. The other two as well will sell. But this is the set. I believe there was only 3 of these made, and they made them once a year for 3 consecutive years. This set of 3 went for $70. Now, here is that single version of the Axe rubber duck right here. This is the one that it seems everybody really wants, and it routinely sells in the $40 to, say, $65 range. Accoutrements is who made it, so if you ever run into one of these, all it says is accoutrements. So if you don't know what this is from, you may not realize it's an advertising piece, a promotional item, and wasn't made in a mass, large quantity like many of the other ones. Now, another brand, Tubbs, made them for a ton of movies as well. So there are several brands that have made movie tie-in versions of these. And obviously, this is Gandalf from Lord of the Rings. Pretty good example. One sold. There's another one up still at this point, and it's sold for $43. And yet another one. This is Metal Gear Solid. Now, I don't think there's a franchise out there that doesn't have a duck of some sort. I've seen them for cartoon characters, movies, television shows, video games, rock and roll, singers, R&B, whatever the topic is. They have some ducks out there. There are fanatics about the rubber duck. I've seen walls of them, hundreds of them on display in one person's house. So it is something that there are mass amounts still of people wanting. Now, this is one of those things, too, that I usually pay $1, maybe $2. If it's in the box, maybe $3 or $4. Usually I get $30 or more for the ones that we buy. We usually stick to the characters, advertising ones as well, or the vintage like we showed you. Now back to Celebriduck. This is one that you should recognize. This is a 3rd edition of Mr. T. Very, very popular character from the A-Team. You can also see Mr. T in Not Another Teen Movie also. So if you're a big fan of Mr. T, I would recommend checking that movie out. You can see here as well, it sold for $34.97. And it's loose, it's out of the box, and it's used. And just one more example from it. This is Pennywise. Another Tubbs. They sold 5 of these for basically $32 a pop. So obviously these are still popular. They're still being made. They're still a collectible out there. No, I don't see these rising super high in prices, but if I can buy something for $1 or $2 and turn around and resell it for $30 to $60, I'm pretty happy with that sort of return on my investment. Well, there we have it. Hopefully that gave you some ideas, some thoughts. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button down below. You can also hit the bell icon to be notified if I post new content or go live. Subscribe and tell all your friends.
What does a youngster look for in a Christmas toy? Fun, excitement. What do you look for? Same thing, of course, plus something else. Call it value. Here's a brand new toy that has both. The new Texaco jet fuel truck. Looks just like the real trucks you see at airports. It's built big and rugged, so your youngster can ride on it. And an exclusive steering mechanism makes it the most maneuverable toy truck you've ever seen. It's hard to outgrow a toy that's as much fun as this. But what about value? Well, the Texaco jet fuel truck is built of heavy gauge steel and made with a beautiful eye for detail. Best of all, it costs $4.98, though it compares to trucks costing 2 and 3 times as much. Charge it on your Texaco credit card. It's a great Christmas present for any boy or girl. And it's only at Texaco, where for fine quality products, trust your car to the man who wears the star.